The group, supposedly led by Ridwan, is feeling more and more pressure, while its members are being stopped more frequently by the police. This situation dealt a serious blow to their morale, but above all, they lacked the manpower to confront their enemies. While money can compensate for moral loss, finding accessible soldiers quickly and in sufficient quantity is a difficult task. However, a key man named Delano, known as Caloh, plays a crucial role in his motorcycle club Caloh Wagoh. There's nothing like a club full of men who are ready to act, bound together by a genuine sense of brotherhood and trust. TAGHI's group avoids getting their hands dirty directly, and when they do, they try to erase all evidence that could be traced back to the leaders, Ridwan, Mao and Saeed. That's why specialist units have been set up for these specific tasks, one of which focuses on outsourcing work to Caloh and his fellow bikers. Although Jermaine B, alias Wizard, has been identified as a central figure in this unit, another of Ridwan's childhood friends, linked to the former Bad Boys gang, is also involved and enjoys a similar status. This is Fenno D, known as Big in the exchanges of encrypted messages. According to the public prosecutor, the duo acted as intermediaries between Ridwan and Caloh, ensuring that mission orders were passed on. The next target is an individual named Samir H, who has been involved in drug trafficking for many years. The decision to eliminate him seems to have been motivated by problems linked to this trade. However, another hypothesis suggests, according to police data, that Samir, in collaboration with other individuals, raised the sum of €500,000 with the alleged aim of liquidating Gwinnett Martha in the past. It's important to remember that there was a ruthless war between two rival factions in Amsterdam at that time, Martha and Hoos. Let's go back to the exchange of PGP messages between Caloh and Wizard. It is clear that they regarded Martha as their long-standing friend, and that all his enemies are among those who must be eliminated. In any case, the mission began in March 2017 and immediately ended in failure, as Caloh clearly mentions in one of his messages.
Sorry about last time. That was a misunderstanding. Do I need to find a better place? Yesterday, something wasn't right. That's what the shooters were saying too.
However, this does not discourage them from pursuing their goals. Here's the proof.
Good afternoon, sir. Could you get rid of that man in Rodomond?
Oh yes, of course, brother.
All right, I'll leave it with you. That's fine, brother, thanks. I'm just thinking of Rodomond, and then you'll have to check the route yourself.
However, the mission did not end up taking place in Samir H's hometown of Roermond, but rather in a cafe called Malemolen in Spijkenisse, South Holland. The liquidation is being prepared and information is being gathered by members of the Caloh Club, who will then pass it on to him. For example, he receives a screenshot containing information found on Google about the cafe's opening hours. A Google Maps search is also carried out. The team on site includes the familiar duo of Orhan and Morian. The two are in position in the back of the white Volkswagen Caddy delivery van, carrying out their preliminary observation. It seems that the plan is to trap Samir H by getting him to meet someone close to TAGHI's group, who goes by the nickname Remy. The meeting is scheduled for 9th of March 2017 at the cafe at 9 p.m. Apparently, Remy is acting as a go-between for this meeting, even though he is not present himself. However, he obtains information about Samir's style of dress, which he passes on to the alleged Ridwan, who forwards it to Big. At least, that's what the prosecution attributes to him.
Jeans, black sweatshirt and cap.
Once again, in an encrypted PGP message linked to the presumed Ridwan. Again, according to the public prosecutor, he told Big that it was time.
So, he's just over there, sir. At 9 PM, he'll go inside. So if they see his car, get him straight over there. Let the gunman look carefully. He must be over there now in the car. He'll go inside at 9 PM.
Big then forwards the messages to Caloh and adds,
He is here.
He makes it clear that the shooters need to be ready, as Samir is somewhere in the area right now. Caloh replies that there are police nearby and they can't stay there for long. Big insists that they have to stay there and stay focused whatever the circumstances. In a message sent by Samir to Remy shortly after 9 PM, it is clear that he is indeed at the cafe waiting for an appointment, which does not materialize because no one is there.
Brother, I'm leaving here. Let your guy come to Rotterdam or Utrecht after midnight.
There is further confusion as the contact on site informs TAGHI's team that the cafe has just closed, which goes against the point of view of Caloh. To obtain confirmation, Big sends a message.
Send a photo of the entrance to the cafe.
They are sitting in the bus.
It is difficult for the shooters to carry out this task, as they are hidden inside the bus, in this case the caddy van. That's why another member of the Caloh team is sent out to take a photo of the cafe. It's clear that the information given to the TAGHI team is wrong, because the cafe is open but no one is there. The protagonists then hurry off in search of Samir H's car, in the hope of finding him, but in vain.
I'm now going to pull the man out of there. The shooters are angry, as this happens second time already. Big. They can't stay there. I'm making them leave.
Caloh expresses his frustration at the failure of this mission, attributing it to poor communication from this Remy, who was not clear in his explanations. This also annoys the shooters, who were ready to act. Big then passes on the messages from the supposed Ridwan that they will be financially rewarded for their efforts. Caloh tells Big that he's still determined to target Samir.
I want to kill that bastard. Tell the boss I'm sorry. But let's look at this man at his house, please. We're wasting time like this. I know people in Roermond. I want to find him now.
The main aim of this message is to maintain a strong stance against TAGHI's group, emphasizing that Caloh is ready for anything and that nothing can stop him. It goes without saying that Caloh is remunerated for his efforts and, what's more, he reserves a substantial share for the shooters involved, Orhan and Morian. In the end, they went to his house to pay, which calmed them down considerably. Jermaine B, aka Wizard, was the man who facilitated the deal and told his new friend Caloh that he wouldn't have to stress about money in the future if he carried on like this.
Thank you for the gesture, brother. We stand by you. I'm sorry I wasn't able to give you what you should have received, but I hope there's still a chance for you to send him to hell.
In this story, an interesting element emerges as to the truth of the events. According to one of the club's bikers, who was soon to become a key witness, it emerged from his statements, which should be taken with caution, that one of the gunmen, Orhan, told him that they had gone to the front of the cafe to eliminate someone. He added that they had arrived too late, explaining why the liquidation had not taken place. Caloh, for his part, also allegedly mentioned to the witness that things had gone wrong because the team was late, thus distorting the story and putting the blame on TAGHI's team, when in fact the duo were indeed late. Despite the importance of this version, let's focus on the rest of the story, as the number of contacts targeting the TAGHI-linked group's rivals continues to rise sharply. A few days later, a new mission is launched, once again involving the duo of Orhan and Moria, accompanied by Willem and supervised by Caloh. On March the 16th, 2017, Wizard sent a message to Caloh, along with 2 photos of individuals, Rashid C. and Roger L. Both have been active in Amsterdam for some time, and there are rumours that they have been blacklisted, probably in connection with conflict in the drug scene. Wizard, concentrating on Roger L., managed to pass on to Caloh the address where his girlfriend and child were staying, which was seen as a good starting point for surveillance.
Don't park on this street because he can see everything when he's at home. He lives on the 3rd floor and has white window blinds through which he can watch discreetly without you noticing, my brother. He usually uses this door on the right when you arrive in the street. It's sort of a fire escape, not the main entrance. The woman drives a black Golf 6 with black rims. She is blonde and has a daughter aged between 2 and 3. He also trains at Basic Fit, a 3-minute walk from his home.
Caloh makes Wizard realise that the Basic Fit gym could be a good option for targeting Roger quickly, even during the day without being spotted. They could be using the VW Caddy to hide themselves. In fact, it's a vehicle with a closed rear upper section, which would allow them to remain inside without being visible from the outside. Caloh mentions that he will let his team monitor the situation the next day, all day long, again emphasizing the advantages of the bus.
That's the strength of the bus. They can stay there at lunchtime.
The next day, the trio from Caloh's team arrived at the exact spot, this time in a Renault Clio, just across the road from the gym, and began their observations. The speed with which the team is progressing with the order is not surprising, given that Wizard made it clear to Caloh that he would pay €140,000 to eliminate the 2 guys, with a €20,000 bonus if it was done quickly. However, it seems that the trio are too obsessed with money and neglect to take sufficient precautions during their preliminary observation, which ultimately makes their behaviour suspect. Indeed, the trio remain outside the entrance to the Amstel Park, which is directly opposite the gym, attracting the attention of the detectives who are discreetly watching them. They notice that the trio speak alternately and regularly glance across the street, watching the entrance to the gym. They suspect that these men may be involved in criminal activity and ask their fellow police officers for help. The trio, soon on the move, using a stolen Renault with false number plates, head to a nearby car park. Eventually being stopped, and the 3 occupants were checked by police officers. During the arrest and subsequent search, a key to the Caddy was found on Orhan. It was also discovered that this vehicle was parked right next to the Renault, in the parking lot in question. Inside the van, several weapons and balaclavas were found bearing the DNA of the men arrested. At this point, it's worth noting that, surprisingly, the same van had been used by the duo on the mission involving Samir, outside the cafe in Spijkenisse. In fact, in the vehicle's navigation system, the last address entered corresponds to the street of the cafe. What's more, the real owner of the stolen van confirms that this address is the only one that he himself has never registered and that appears in his browsing history. As for Roger L., he later revealed that he had known Wizard for 15 to 20 years, but that contact between them had suddenly broken down. He claims that Wizard is one of the few people who knows so many details about his life. Roger became furious when he discovered from the encrypted messages that his former friend had raised the possibility of a drive-by targeting 3 people.
There can also be 3 of them, so take all 3.
From the first version, it emerged that Roger's girlfriend and their daughter could both have been targeted as collateral victims. However, there was also talk of a trio made up of Roger L. and his friend Rashid C. and a taxi driver who was said to be a friend. The crucial thing to remember is that this mission has once again failed, a fact that greatly displeases the bosses.
I'm just going to stay calm, but if there are going to be deaths, you have to take Basic into account as well, and try to eliminate him immediately if possible.
Wizard is beginning to lose patience because of the lack of results in recent liquidations. So he suggests we take a look at Basic, referring this time to Basic Fit, but in The Hague, a place frequented by Farid, another criminal with also a bounty on his head. On 17th of April 2017, in the afternoon, at a hotel near the sea, Caloh had lunch with Tony DG and his father Evert. Tony is an important figure in the local branch of the Caloh Wagoh motorbike club and has been implicated in a number of crimes but no murders until now. In this meeting, a certain Gwensley G also appears and engages Caloh in an off-the-record conversation, particularly on the subject of weapons. There were a lot of moves on the day, but what really matters is the fact that Gwensley is apparently travelling in a Peugeot 308. Farid's elimination mission goes according to plan. After the arrest of several of Caloh's soldiers, Caloh called in a new trio, including Gwensley and his close friend Riganon. They quickly got down to business and drove a Peugeot to Basic Fit in The Hague that evening. Witnesses at the scene suddenly heard detonations, which they initially mistook for fireworks. Intrigued, they looked around and noticed that the Peugeot was parked crookedly behind a Citroën C3, with an individual sitting behind the wheel. The position of Caloh's team car blocked any possibility of reversing. Moments later, the two men who had been standing near the Citroën quickly returned to the Peugeot, which immediately fled. Curious bystanders approached and discovered a man lying inside the car, shot in the head. It was Farid. So the mission was accomplished, although the details of the operation remain unclear to the perplexed witnesses. The trio flee towards the town of Delft, where they plan to change vehicles. The aim is to make it harder for the police to track them down. The second getaway car is a Renault Clio. By opting for this change of vehicle, they hope to increase their chances of staying out of sight and continuing their escape. At the same time, Tony, who was on his way to Rotterdam for business purposes, received last-minute instructions from Caloh to pick him and his wife up, without yet specifying the exact address of their destination. Tony, accompanied by a friend, decided to wait for orders at an Esso service station. After waiting for over 20 minutes, Tony finally received the address he needed to get to quickly. Once in Delft, Tony is instructed to turn on his headlights so that Caloh can recognize him. However, to his surprise, it was not Caloh and his wife who turned up, but three men dressed in black who rushed towards the car, guns drawn. Tony recognizes some of them as members of his club. From a distance, Caloh asks Tony to drop them off near Gwensley's girlfriend's residence at a bus stop. Once out of the car, they go their separate ways, each taking their own path. Tony, shocked by what has just happened, keeps in constant contact with Caloh, who finally invites him to his home the next day to explain the troubling event. The next day, as they stroll near Caloh's home, Tony is informed that the trio he helped the day before have succeeded in eliminating Farid. They desperately needed a last-minute driver. That's why Caloh hands Tony a €500 note for the service rendered. In the days that followed, Gwensley told him in detail how the operation had gone and revealed a problem with the second getaway car, the Renault. The car key was broken, and it was thanks to Tony's help that they were able to escape. The Renault was found on fire, with no number plate and a faulty key inside. Tony saved their lives by helping them with his own means of transport. It appears that Tony was completely unaware of the operation, as confirmed by his friend who was with him in the car that day. The man claims that he was too drunk to drive, which is why Tony took the wheel. He also pointed out that Tony had received orders to pick up people at the last minute. As far as Caloh is concerned, he has nothing to complain about, as his team have finally succeeded in their mission after all this time. This deserves to be rewarded by the bosses.
Okay, well done, brothers. I'm proud of you, and I'm gonna have some money for you as soon as I wake up, bro.
According to the public prosecutor's office, a message transmitted was also attributed to the presumed godfather Ridwan.
What a head! You finally made me happy.
This reaction may seem entirely understandable after the numerous failures of recent elimination operations which had led to nothing concrete apart from arrests. For Caloh, this good news won't last forever, but it will be short-lived. It was the beginning of his inexorable downfall. Indeed, the driver Tony TAGHI will be the first piece of the domino to fall, because he will soon make the decision to testify against his group.